Welcome to the Omziel Healing Sanctuary. We're giving you bite-sized information for you to take in your daily life and use. We're back here again with Kamau, and we're just catching up with him, and he's part of this gathering that we're having on December 14th. So, yeah, Kamau, why don't you tell us, first of all, your name. Again, I know the first name is Kamau, but give me the whole thing and some more details about it.
My name is Kamau Akabueze. I chose that name in 1994 or so as I started learning more about cultural history and identity and started to feel an opportunity to define myself a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just starting college and trying to figure out who I am and as an independent being in the world. And as I was looking through a book of African names by this philosopher, scholar, Dr. Maulana Karenga, I saw the name Kamau and it meant quiet warrior. I saw the words quiet warrior, quite honestly. I was like, oh, I know who that is. That's definitely me. And that quick identification just led to me knowing that was my name. And I just kind of went by Kamau from then forward. And over time, I learned that I could actually change my name legally. It was $100 and some paperwork, and I did it. But before I did that, I chose the full name. I wanted to kind of complete the sentence. So Kamau means quiet warrior. Zuberi, my middle name, means strong. And then Akabueze means believes family and community support is paramount. So the entire statement is, strong, quiet warrior who believes family and community support is paramount, is the entire meaning of the name that I chose, and paid the fee, did the paperwork, and kind of re-established, I think at that point, an identity that felt really comfortable walking in. I was born Samuel Todd Harris, and my grandmother always called me Todd, and I to this day that still is a loving sound.
Right.
When I hear that name, anytime.
Right.
But yeah, this is who I knew that I wanted to embody.
Right.
By name and by life and by actions.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful. I personally feel that everyone should know what their name means, right? Omar means eloquent speaker, you see? So this is a chair for, argument's sake. Why? Because we both agree that word is this, it's not really this thing, but it's that word, to identify, right? So people go around with their names and I ask them, what's your name mean? And they be like, I don't know. I'm like, you should. And then sometimes I look into it for them and go, look, it means, and they're like, oh, whoa, So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now you're part of our festival, or not our festival, but the festival, the gathering of the Purple Sage on December 14th, 2024. And you're going to be opening up with the inspired breath. Now, this is something that you've created or has come to you, and you are just bringing it out and manifesting it, and have experienced it here too, which is a great thing, because you really can't talk about something that you don't experience.
Yes.
You can be like, oh, it's a great thing. Have you done it? No. How do you know it's a great thing? Oh, because I heard, So why don't you tell us a little bit more about about the inspired breath, how it came to you? What does it entail?
No, I mean, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you went through the experience and want to share it with others, because the same thing happened to me. This is a practice that I have gathered over the course of my life through several things, whether it be recovery from injury or preventative movements for my own just general health. I've had knee issues for a long time. And so there were things that I've been looking to just build into my regular practice that helps to put my body in a place of appreciation for all that it can do, all the directions that I can turn and move. And so I've always wanted to increase my flexibility. I've always wanted to increase the depth of my squats and the depth of my breath. And as I started learning about the value of those things in life, I've always wanted to deepen the quality of my breath overall. I don't know why I wanted to, but then as I started to read stories and read books and physiology and science and yoga and all these things about the power of the deep breath, I understand why something in me was telling me to take my breath deeper, right? Every practice that we really know of that's meditative or homeopathic involves deep breathing. Every single one.
Right.
You know, so there was just something in me that was calling me to that. But the other side of that equation is when you start learning about how powerful the breath is for you, you start also understanding that as you are breathing, you're breathing in everything around you. I'm breathing in everything around me with every breath. Everything that exists. There's no bubble around the planet. So if I want to imagine that I'm also breathing space dust, I can imagine I'm breathing space dust. I can imagine I'm breathing in whatever that I'm breathing because this is just invisible infiniteness that I'm breathing. So that inspired breath element, that is what the practice is this appreciation for the all that exists in every breath.
Okay.
And understanding that in my presence and my knowing and my imagination that I'm breathing in right now, the energy and the expressions of this tree, of your words, of your vibration, of you know, everyone that's kind of come through here. When the door opens up, the world comes in here as well. So I'm inspired by the fact that I get to take in so much with every breath. And I can take that as deep as I want in my imagination and in my body.
Okay.
So I mix that presence of awareness and that imaginative understanding of the environment that I'm breathing in with the practice of moving into different moves for longer that allow for a deeper stretch, that allow me to take the breath deeper into my body as I'm doing these movements. And so this collection of movements are just a collection that have been really great for me over the course of the years that I've put together into a practice for myself and my own, you know, sense of the world, my own healing, my own sense of freshness before I leave out in the day. And give me time with my imagination and my breath so that I know that I'm putting good things into my body. And I'm lengthening my flexibility, my ability to put breath into different parts of my body and prepare it to go deeper.
Because it does come with these movements, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
one of the things that you had mentioned to me early on was, well, it's kind of like yoga, but you don't really go to the floor like that.
Yeah,
So,
it's all standing.
Yeah.
It's all standing, never going to the floor, even though you build a connection with the surface and the earth. Like there's definitely moments of deep stretch, all for your hands and feet, you know, on the ground as far as you can go, but making that connection and bringing that back, you know, into a standing position. So there's some bends, there's some twists, there's some squats, all while doing this slowly and methodically and through a process that every time you're looking to take your breath deeper and take your appreciation of the breath deeper into your movements.
Right. Yeah. You know, it makes me think of yoga, and what is that? According to what I've learned, the yoga means the yoke, right? It's like you're bringing things together or in connection, holding that. And what are you bringing together? Your breath and your movements, you know, and then the thoughts too. You know, I'm here because I'm doing this. And while I'm doing it, I'm connecting my breath. I'm being aware of this. And then, like, you know, so that's beautiful. You know, yoga, according to what I've learned too, is somewhere like 5,000 years old, but it's probably older than that, probably hundreds of thousands of years. And what I read somewhere about the Yoga Sutra, where Krishna had asked the serpent, "Can you teach me to be like you, like strong and flexible?"
Mm-hmm.
And then the serpent said, "Sure," and then started showing Krishna the movements.
Yeah.
And then that's one of the stories how it goes, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it's an ancient thing.
No, it's beautiful. We've as beings, we've been moving for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had to figure out how to stretch ourselves into better health, stretch ourselves into more longevity in our lives, stretch ourselves into new positions in the way that we're like, entertaining and supporting each other.
Right.
Like that part is a part of just our evolutionary thinking. And to be able to do that, to be able to do all these movements that we need to do in life through work and parenthood and living and teaching and growing and working, to add the inspired breath to that is really the cheat code in what this practice is.
Right.
Is to say that I can move and I can advance myself and I can go maybe further than I have before while taking deep breaths.
And much necessary too, because we normally just sit in chairs all day, most of the day. And I don't know if you know this, but primates are the only ones, we're the only primates that have trouble with our back. All other primates are fine, probably because we're sitting in chairs all day. We should be swinging from trees and running and jumping like other primates.
Yeah, but when we can expand that, we have the ability to take a breath in and expand our entire midsection, our entire torso. We can expand it. That is also exercise.
Right.
So when we think about that, what we can do in these seated positions, because again, we can't change society. We can't change the fact that we have to be in these positions. Right. We're in here.
Right.
So what do we do with now? What do we do with the fact that we're here and we're in this seat? We could be frustrated and taking really short breaths and huffing and puffing. Or we could take inspired breaths knowing that there's a real physical activity happening that goes along with the breath every time. Inspired
breath. Yes. I had learned something also about the name of God, right? They say that it's the set of letters, and they kind of like added some other letters in order for it to say Yahweh or something like that. But I had learned from this other teacher that was saying that really that word is really breath. And the way he explained it is, it sounds just like that, like, yeah, it's just like that. That's really what God is. God is just breath. That's what we are. We're living expressions of God.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it in those terms, the Big Bang scientifically is just a breath. It's an expression. Breath is an expression.
Wow.
So that expression, like we're in that expression.
Right.
If we're in the Big Bang, we're in that expression.
Right.
We're in that breath.
Right.
It was just a different expression of a breath.
That's beautiful.
So again, like I can imagine that. I can imagine that if science is only taking us to the Big Bang, that's our starting point. Then we're inside of that.
Right.
That is as profound a breath as the breath that I'm taking. I can imagine that in my brain because I can just use my imagination in that way.
Right. Imagination is everything.
Yeah. It doesn't take this it just takes a bit of my sense of science.
Right.
To say, you know what? I can see that as a breath. I can see my breath as the same breath.
Right.
I can make that connection for me.
Right.
And that's my imagination putting inspiration into my breath, making it as powerful as the Big Bang. I am able to do that.
That's beautiful.
So what can your breath be is the question. What are you exhaling into the world with every inspired breath that you take? What is your breath mixing and mingling with? Your thoughts and ideas and who you are and who you've been are all in your body. Right. So like when you take that breath in, what is that breath mingling with?
Mm. Mm.
And then what will that breath be mingling with?
Right.
It's all a consideration.
Mm.
So then to add movement to that you have not necessarily done before gives you a sense, okay, well then when I'm also sitting in this chair, I can also take that same inspired breath.
Mm. Mm. So you are also the creator of the Alien School.
I am.
Right?
I am.
And this is a practice, the inspired breath, that you bring to the students also.
Absolutely.
Which was quite fascinating. That's why I wanted to experience it for myself and see where's the value with this. Let me at least try it, you know. And with the Alien School, right?
Yeah.
You're teaching people quite a number of things. You know, the first thought that most people think, I would imagine, is the alien school. Like I had told my wife about it, and she was like, "Oh wow, you know, he's into extraterrestrials," you know, because she loved that too. And I'm like, "Oh, hold on now," you know.
Okay. Yes.
You know, and I told him, I said, "Well, actually, he's saying that we're the aliens. We are the aliens. It's us. We many different levels to that. Like we are alien to our own power, or our own being, or our own existence. We're alien to it, you know. So, but you brought in the inspired breath too. So, so why don't you tell me about how that would help people in the school?
Absolutely. So, alienation in itself is a much more significant topic in society than we give it its due. We don't really talk about it as a multiplicitous, multifarious issue in our lives, because so many things can live inside of alienation. When you're alienated from, let's say, a workplace, when you're alienated in a workplace, that can cause frustration, that can cause anxiety, that can cause depression, that can cause anger. Those are just 4 things that being alienated within a company can create. Right? These are manifestations of alienation, disconnection from, like, what am I doing here? Am I in the right position? What does my boss think of me? Am I doing the right thing? What did they think of that idea? Did I spell something wrong in that email? Why is that taking so long to get back to me? Like all these questions that come up when we're not taking deep breaths. And we are feeling that sense of alienation. Create this disconnection. Just this disconnection from who we are and where we are. Like, what is valuable in this moment? What can I do in this moment? With all these questions that are swirling around me, what can I do in this moment? I've understood that because I spent a career kind of asking myself those kind of questions. And then I got to a point where I was able to begin to answer them, because I wanted to answer some bigger questions in my life about my own behavior and why I was feeling alienated from myself, from what I know to be, why, you know, because of my behavior, I was hearing things about myself that just didn't sound like me.
Wow.
So I could feel that alienation. So I dove into that. And with great coaching and great studies and just continued study, I started to understand that I was alienated from myself. And when I started to understand and have a better connection with who I am, I started to understand that alienation is something that a lot of my people go through. And when I say my people, I mean human beings. People that are close to me, people that I've seen in television shows, people that I've seen in reality television shows, people that I've seen in the news, are all experiencing alienation in some form or fashion from who we are as connected beings that don't actually need to harm each other. It's not a necessity of our existence to harm each other. Right? There's no edict that we need to be doing this, but we don't know exactly that we are doing these things to each other, because when we aren't breathing deeply, when we are breathing shallow and we're constricting our breathing, and we are frustrated, and we're angry, and we're depressed, and we have high anxiety, we oftentimes don't even know what we're saying or what we've done. So then alienation is a co-created value. It's a co-created experience. On the other side of that, I look at it as though I actually had to go through those things to get to an understanding, a better understanding of who I am. That understanding will always be evolving, but I had to go through it to know that there's an other side to that sensation.
Right.
I had to go through that. So then I started to understand alienation as a bit of a necessary experience of where we are right now as a humanity that does not know that we do not need to harm each other.
You know, you speak about the breath, and that's a great one, right? Because the basic premise, right, behind meditation is just pay attention to your breath. Just pay attention to your breath.
Very simple.
It's very simple. It's too simple, right? Because people, they freak out. They're like,
correct.
What would I do if I'm not doing something? No, you're not doing anything.
Right.
You know, you're just sitting, and then things start to bubble up, the thoughts, right? We have all of these distractions in society.
No, I just want to pause right there. Because that's where this other separation happens. The thoughts. When we start to understand that our thoughts are a part of our imagination, we just call them thoughts, but they're imaginings.
Right.
When we start to understand our relationship, that our thoughts are our imagination, then we can actually understand that we are thinking creatively. And that's why the Alien School is for creative thinking.
Right.
For creative thinking, meaning we are for the advancement of creative thinking, because when we understand thoughts are imagination, we understand that thoughts are created, and every thought is a created thought. We've been told this by the ancients for a very long time, but we just need to understand that thoughts, every thought that we have is an imagined idea, and they're usually wild as hell.
Right. Right. Yes.
When we understand that we are creating our thoughts, then we can understand that we have the power of creative thinking.
Okay, so then how does this all connect with the breath and the movement of the inspired breath, not just breath movement? This is like inspired.
Inspired by what? Our thoughts. Inspired by what? Our imagination. What are we imagining that we're breathing in with every thought? We could imagine that we're breathing in new ideas. We could imagine that we're breathing in solutions to our problems. Those are thoughts, just like the thought that, well, this person's doing this because they don't like me. That's the same imagined thought. Now, you can feel that and make that real if you want to. Or you can imagine that you are the answer to all of your problems. You can imagine that. We have the capability to imagine that we are the answer to all of our problems.
Right.
This is an actual capability that we have. There's nothing restricting our imagination from knowing that. But when we take the time to actually breathe that in deeply and consistently, I am the answer to all of my problems. I am the answer to all of my problems.
It's a matter of like going inward, right? I was learning somewhere that it said, for the one who journeys within, they cannot be still outside. You know, it was saying, you need to be still and journey inward. That way your outside movements can be more productive and you can do more things. You know, but it's a matter of going in. We spend too much time outside and we think that we're doing things, and it's just proving that we could be real busy. That's all we're proving.
Yes.
We're not really getting anything done, you know.
We are getting things done. This is the thing. It's like we it's difficult to put these kind of blanket. We're always doing something, always, no matter what. Even if we're sitting in the chair, you understand that your aura is this invisible energy floating around your body, right? If you Google what an aura is, Google has no reason to lie to us. It's an invisible energy around our body. You could Wikipedia it, you could duck goose it, whatever you do. When you define an aura, scientifically, it's this invisible energy around our bodies. The more that we are in a relationship with ourselves, in a relationship with the fact that we can provide answers for ourselves, the fact that we can encourage ourselves, the fact that we can live an enthusiastic life if we choose to, if we can imagine a better tomorrow every moment of every day. If we can imagine a really wonderful now every moment of every day, understanding that things can improve. They can.
Right.
Things can improve and everything can be exactly what it is right now. And things can improve.
Right. And that does come, there's that direct correlation with the breath.
Yes.
Because just recently, there has been some events that have occurred in my life, and it seemed to have put me in this position where my breath was like a little short. And then now my thoughts are a little bit louder than they were before. And it's just the breath. And then I noticed like, okay, just relax and just breathe, right? Let's go back to your practice. And I'm like trying to breathe in deep, but then I feel almost like something is like, almost like the tension, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because I had explained that to my wife, like, I feel tension. Why? Like, they're just the thoughts. That's all.
Yes.
As if something, traumatic has happened. That's not even the case. If you look at it, it's just an event that occurs. I'm not the first, I'm not the last, but it's that direct correlation to the breath that loosens that tension with us. And I see that in the inspired breath.
Yeah. A famous writer, I'm not recalling the singular name, wrote that thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. This chair was a utilitarian thought. Something to rest on. There's a utilitarian thought, and it's become the chair, as you talked about earlier.
Right.
It started as a thought. It probably started as a really instinctive thought that ended up on a rock. Someone somewhere was like, hold on, this is too tiring.
Right.
and like fresh out the goop. They just need to sit on something.
Right.
And then that inspired another thought, inspired another thought, inspired another thought. Inspired a new idea, inspired a new idea, inspired a new idea, inspired a new idea. Right. The ergonomics of this is an improvement from rock. Right? This is an improvement from just a slab of wood. However, this is a solution brought about by thinking through an idea that became a solution, that became a utility. So if thoughts are things, and we have the capability to make all these things, to make everything that we've been able to bring here, then we've got real power. We've got real creative power with our thoughts.
Right.
But our thoughts are also creating emotions. And so that tension that you feel is a part of a thought process that is creating an emotion, that's creating a sensation.
Okay.
And when you send your thoughts into a lower vibration, into a lower energy, they can create a density because they're moving a lot faster.
Right.
Ideas, solutions are infinite. They're boundless. They can go anywhere. You don't have to curl up.
Right.
they can just
raise that vibrational frequency for sure.
yes.
Wow.
It dissolves that lower. What is that?
Right.
Well, what could it be? What could that be? Could it be this?
Right.
Could it be that?
Yeah.
Then you're out of this.
Right.
Right?
We often find ourselves in that position where we're like, oh, this is happening to me, and how am I going to get out of this? But I've also found myself like saying, where's the lesson here? What am I supposed to be learning in this here? That this has happened or is happening, or actually that it has happened already, because it's not, it's already passed. We're still living with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We're still doing that, the
it.
movie making. And we call it like the roommate is in the head, like, oh man, you should have said that. Why didn't you do that? Or like, oh man, you screwed now, bro. Like, it's, and then we think it's us, like they're just thoughts, So yeah.
Just thoughts. Now, give them a little more credit, because you imagined all that. Right? Just now, you imagined all that. You imagined a scenario that was probably related to a scenario in your life. You did you played the whole thing out. But there are several things in that story that you didn't know, that you imagined, because you had to imagine the other side.
Right, for sure. Because I don't know the other side.
You don't know.
I'm imagining. I'm making that up. There.
So when you bring those thoughts up to eye level and say, okay, now what is true?
Right.
What is true?
Exactly.
What is real?
That's another practice too that we often try to exercise, is when you have these trains of thought, of these threads that are like weaving. At that point, we should remember to say, is that true? Because it stops it. That weaving goes, and it freezes it there. You see? And then it starts to examine it, and it creates this gap. Even if we fall back into it, because that's a common thing too, but it creates those gaps.
Bring it to eye level. But whatever the problem is, bring it to eye level and see, with some deep breaths, understanding that the answer is there. The answer is here. The answer is here. And allow it to actually be. Welcome in the answer.
So now we have the purple sage on December 14th.
Yes.
And when we first met each other, it was in the ice plunge, actually. You came through for some breath in the ice, which was wonderful. And you told me about some of these things that you're doing and you're building. And I was, inspired and quite excited too, because I said, wow, here is a real player, man. Like, it's kind of like finding the needle, in the haystack. Like, wow, somebody who's serious about doing things, and who's consistent. Let's see, and then I started watching you more, and then we started meeting more. And then I see that, yes, you are serious and you are creating these things. Like, you are a real creator.
Yes.
And exercise, because we're all creators, right?
Yes, indeed.
But you're exercising that. You're like, I am a creator. I'm doing this. So now this wonderful opportunity has come up. The Purple Sage Gathering, where that's what we do. We create these events where people can come together, like-minded, learn a thing, share a thing, So with this inspired breath, it just came to me like, this is why I met you. Yeah.
Got it.
It's for this right here. Yeah. It's like, what else would it be for? Just so you could have showed me that, but I'm a creator too.
You are,
and I'm creating things. So here is this practice that you have that it just fits, perfect.
Right. And now this is the magic, right, of us being together, is that we are here as co-creators on this earth. We just are. It's a natural state of our being. We're here for each other. We need each other. I'm a creator. You're a creator. We're doing this co-creation thing. That's really, really important. You're allowing me to bring an element of my school, this practice into your practice, which is a beautiful community orientation, right? The Purple Sage Festival, what you do with Omziel Healing Sanctuary, what you and your lovely wife, Omziel, bring into the world and to people. Like, that's very magical and very beneficial and very useful. And when I think about the Alien School, I don't think about us as a closed circuit community. I think of us as one that is actually reaching out to every environment that is doing the work, that is helping people gain some connection with themselves, gain some connection with who they are, add new thoughts and new breath into their ecosystem, you know, and add new ideas into their ecosystem, new aspirations, new inspirations. All those things happen at an environment like yours. I'm sure from the previous Purple Sage festivals, you can probably speak to a lot of that beautiful alchemy that's happening at your events, where new creations
For sure.
are born, new relationships are born,
For sure.
new co-creative opportunities are born.
You know, sometimes, Kamau, I've been in some of these things that I help, right, to put together, right, for lack of a better term or something, or to be quite, you know, transparent, right? Because I'm just a part of it. It's not my thing. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not my thing. It's just the thing. For me, I just feel like
It's what you created.
I created. Yes, I created, and I'm part of this. All this, because I can't do it alone. Because if I'm in a room by myself, then there is no festival, or you know, there's no ice, there's no anything. But what I wanted to say is that I often find myself beside myself in the midst of this thing that is now coming. Like, I'm not thinking, oh, when I get there and I'm going to be so happy and I'm going to really reflect on it. No, it just comes organically. I'm in it, and then just pow. Wow, man. And just there, like, I'm in tears, I'm in motion, my hairs are standing up. It's like, it's unspeakable. Like, I don't even have the words for the beauty, the magnificence of this thing that would not have happened if I didn't say, let's go and do it. You know, so I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
We are creators, you're right.
Absolutely. and you know, again, this is the thing that we don't always take the time and the deep breaths to understand and appreciate. The Purple Sage Festival, you could look at the manifestation of that as the garden in bloom. That's the garden in bloom for you. Your life was sowing the seeds for that creation. And now that creation has a chance to bloom because you're giving it more life. You are breathing more life into it. You're not letting it collapse. You are nurturing that by bringing more life to it. This is the power of an idea when you actually let an idea breathe. Let the idea breathe. Give it more life. Give it more oxygen. Let the idea mix with other oxygen. Other people who come into that environment, they're breathing in that idea. They're breathing in the alchemy of that idea. They're exchanging with that.
They're right.
And your garden is growing as a result. So when you're standing back in awe, that's a dope moment, but don't forget the fact that you planted the seed as the creator.
Right.
That's a different level of appreciation to take these experiences in with, because you can see at that point as a agriculturalist,
As an agriculturalist,
that there is more growing for you in there.
Right.
And that is then an opportunity for everybody to have an experience with what you have planted.
And then the opportunities for that are boundless.
Correct.
They're infinite.
Correct.
We don't even know. We don't even know. But
You don't have to know.
We don't have to know.
But
we should recognize that there's more here. Oh, you know what? There's even more. And you know what? There's even more happening here. There's something else. There's all kinds of different workshops and people collaborating. You know, we've had people come and they've met each other and gotten involved, like romantically and something.
Yes.
Who knows
Alchemy.
what that they wouldn't exactly.
Alchemy.
They would not have met each other if they didn't come to the ice plunge or something like that. It's just beautiful.
Thing, mother. The negative didn't need to happen. They did meet each other because they came. They did.
They did. That's it. Period. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
This is the enthusiastic aspect of the inspired breath, right? This is that's that part. So that's what I brought to that. Now, my buddy Steven Flores, Optimize, Normalize, he helped with the body side of it. He brought all of that physical experience into the mix that allowed for the practice to actually become something that was super beneficial metaphysically when we think about what we're inspiring into our systems. But then when we add on some of the practical, like physical, optimized movements, normalize deep stretching, normalize deep breath, normalize understanding of our energies and our chakras.
And normalize.
Yes.
Big shout out to Steven.
Yes, indeed. So like that's additional co-creative alchemy, right? Is the movement added into the mix with the breath. And you've got this mindful movement that really is at the core. And that's also at the core of the alien school, right? Mindful movement, mindful movement.
Right.
What do I do with now that I know I have an opportunity to create with now?
Right.
So just to like bring that back to just the, the garden, analogy, like what you opened up is this incredible portal for people,
right?
To experience something that is, also mixed with incredible concepts. I mean, when you talk about, the purple, the sage, the real energy behind that, I'd love for you to share a bit. I'm sure you have, but there's something happening there as well that people should know is inside of the mix, what they're breathing in your experience and what you've created.
The purple has all of these different connotations with the chakra system. The purple is the crown chakra. And when we're connected to source there, and when babies come into this realm, their head is soft. That is just sort of like an indication that they're coming from that thing right there. And then it calcifies as we go along. But we never lose that connection with source, and people represent that in the color scheme as purple being on the top right there. So there's the purple. And then the sage is the cleansing and the clearing. Sage is a plant that grows. You can steep it as a tea also. The Bedouins drink it in the desert. It keeps you hydrated for long journeys through the desert, And the sage also, when it dries and you burn it, it collects the negative energy. It attaches to that negative energy and it releases it. So there you have it. The purple sage is the cleansing and the clearing of what we need daily. And now that we're coming to the year end, this calendar year, because we seem to be in this year for the most part, this counting of the system, which it's not correct. That's why they put in the leap year, because they're trying to fix it. 12 months, 13 months, like whatever, But the fact is that, we're in this system that we're counting. So we often all recognize that one solar revolution has gone by. And as we come to the closing of this, there's also the opening.
Yes, indeed.
You see? So there's people think, that ended. No, that's the beginning of something.
Yes, indeed.
It's just doing this to go like this, like that. It's like
really
bang it, like we're expanding those things. So that's where the purple sage has come from. People are levitating toward the name. It's beautiful. It's exciting. There's lots of different names out there. That's the one that has come to me. There's been many different, variations that I was with in the beginning, writing them down, and then just that one, I was like, yes, of course, purple, and the sage. And then it made me think also of the purple in the Bible when they were punishing Jesus. They threw him a purple robe. And now they could have just thrown him any robe, but they threw him a purple robe. Why? Is because that's the royalty. Humans have seen the purple as the top, the epitome. Why? Is because it's there. It's in codes. They're saying the purpleness is, created to source, connected to source always.
That high vibration.
High vibration. It's the upper. These are the lower ones, the lower chakra, right? The root chakra is down here.
Yeah.
That has to do with our innocence. That's why it gets messed up sometimes, and our relationships get screwy because, the kundalini, the snake going up like the DNA, going up all the chakra roots, And it made me think of something that you shared with me earlier about our DNA and how we're taking in all of these things. And one of the things that you read me was that about the harp vibration.
Yeah.
The vibrational harp. Yeah.
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll share an image with you as well that I think kind of speaks to that I've been working on. This is, it's not complex theory when you understand what DNA is. There's just this incredible stat that I heard that got me really curious about our beings, that we have 10 billion miles of DNA in our bodies, 10 billion miles of DNA in every human body. That's a slightly unfathomable number. And it would take great imagination to fit 10 billion miles of anything into what I am, unless I don't understand what I am. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Unless I don't understand what I am. I don't understand that I'm dope enough to carry 10 billion miles of something in my body. And if I understand DNA as this incredible data system that's flowing through time, through birth and life and death and decay. It's just a thing that's flowing through time, and that DNA never leaves Earth. So this data system is always here on this Earth. Through us, our lives and our deaths. Then every time that I speak and I feel the vibration in my body, then I also know that that information system is vibrating. And so there is a very long 49-year-old song that's been sung into this body through my experience that is information, that is valuable information for my body, because somehow, as the being that I am, 10 billion miles of something fits inside of me. That means I'm gargantuan in some way. And in that way, I could also see how the vibration of what I am thinking and feeling and talking about is getting is interacting with that DNA, and that there's some movement in those strands at a quantum microscopic level that is worth taking note of, worth knowing is happening. And so what I sing to myself becomes very, very important, because I would like for my system to have really, really great data about what I see and would like to see in the world if this data never leaves this earth.
Right. So there goes the vibration, the musical symphony that's playing.
Yes.
Right? Because they say scientists are finding out what the ancients already knew.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
That there's like worlds within worlds inside of us, right? The Hindus, in the Hindu belief system too, speaks about that. In fact, I shared with you the link to Inner World, Outer Worlds.
Yes.
You can find it on YouTube. It's a 4-part, super deep. It's beautiful, man. It speaks on those things. So there is the vibrational harp singing. It's that music. It's the Om. It's the frequency.
Yes.
It's the universal song that's playing.
Absolutely. Like constantly. It's always playing. It is always playing. So what am I always playing to myself?
Right.
I know who I am.
Right. It's quite beautiful and deeply knowing, some realization. It's almost as if somebody turns on the light a little bit, and then you're like, oh, whoa, there's room, there's light, there's somewhere, and then it kind of gets dim for whatever reasons, again, and then you're like, oh, wow. And for me, it's like, once you start seeing a little bit of light, you just want more.
Correct.
That's it. You just want more and you want to find out.
Which is why you create something like the Purple Sage Festival, because you can bring together a community of brilliant light workers who know that they are, some who don't know that they are yet, some who are on their way there.
Right.
We're all in this thing together. But now we also get to bring together all these beautiful data harps.
Right.
And harmonize energies, harmonize soundscapes, harmonize mindsets, bring some harmony into an ecosystem through an idea that have created ideas like the Inspired Breath, like the Purple Sage Festival, that have brought them together in this invisible alchemy that happens in the air, that can't not happen just because of science and magnetism.
Right. The data harp.
Yes.
Right. The data harp. That's so fascinating. One of the reasons why I say is because I'm going to create a database, and this database will include all of the light workers, crystal vendors, the massage therapists, the plant medicine workers, and all that. And this will be a database where people can come to, because currently I know of none, and if there are, I'll figure it out or see it at some point. But I'm saying it to put it out in the universe.
That's a beautiful thing.
I'm creating this database where people can just access that database and go, I need Reiki. And there you go. They're in my area too. And here's the numbers and the email for me to connect with them and all that. They're in my area. This database is here. I don't have to be the Zoom thing and could if you want to.
There's all kinds of things that can fit into that ecosystem.
All kinds of things into that.
The data harp.
Thank you for allowing me to share that.
Absolutely. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see that. Jersey City, the Jersey area that I know that I'm in, from a high vibration standpoint, could use that.
You see?
Absolutely.
You've even shared with me some things about some brothers down the way over here. Like, people should know about this person over here. That's how I feel. Like, let's just bring that information out.
100%.
Yeah. So people are like, hey, you know what? I'm going to drive 30 minutes to see this. I feel that he can help me. I found it on the database right here.
Yes.
So it's coming together. It's all there, right? That's another thing that I've learned too, Kamau, is that everything is already there.
It is.
Like, we're seeing it as like, it's really already there. It's already there. We're like unfolding it. We're just unwrapping it. Like, just, that's part of our creation. That's our part in this play, is just to like, and it's almost like our contribution to that thing too. We're co-creating. We're co-creators, right? That's why I often tell people, I'm just a paintbrush in the master's hand. That's it. I'm just, use me as a vessel. That's it.
It's an incredible position to be in, to then know and leave yourself open to be leveraged for the highest good of all. When you leave yourself open to be leveraged for the highest good of all, it's a powerful invitation and invocation that your whole system will recognize.
Right.
Your whole system will recognize that.
Yes.
When that's true in your system, your whole system will recognize that. That's data. Yes.
And it makes me think about whoever created us, like however we are now, whoever created us in that way for us to do that. It's as if you created something, right? Some sort of clay thing that was able to move on its own too, and grow and do things, and here you are watching it. Like, wouldn't you put inside that thing the very best?
The very best.
The very best. You would be like, you know what? I'm like this. I'm gonna put this in them too, right here. Watch this. Look at that. Oh, that's me.
Yes. 100%. And be able to know that and then get back to work.
Yeah.
We don't just stand back and marvel, we get back to work.
Right. That's beautiful. I also want to share with you, I think it was yesterday, my son, he's 7 years old today, And he came to me and he said, Dad, I got something for you. And I said, oh, yeah, what is it? He goes, I got a question. I said, of course. What is it? And he said, if God made us, then who made God? This is coming from a 6-year-old. Like, I couldn't even imagine. I was thinking like that. Maybe it was too much fluoride in the water or something like that, which chances are, you know, because we keep our kids away from some of these low vibrational things,
Indeed.
you know, and try to keep them with their mind expanding and all that. And he came to me with that.
It's a powerful conception for a young mind.
Yes.
And this is where journaling, things like creative steeping, but like really journaling.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Just on that front, like,
of course,
the chance to learn how to work with those kind of inquisitions at an early age is really, really powerful. To be able to answer his own questions with his own imagination.
Yes, it's like,
let him go on a research project and actually figure that out for himself. And having that understanding that he can carry forward with himself. It's a beautiful thing, because if we get shut down in some of those inquiries, then we'll always feel shut down. We'll always feel like the answers aren't accessible. But as you talked about earlier, the answers are inside of you.
Right.
If we're going to give ourselves more time with the breath, then we're going to give ourselves more time for answers. The answers are inside of us. And so learning to do that at any age is really, really profound, especially when you can do that and see and go back to what you've created and what you've written about your life and your experience.
Right.
It's powerful.
So you spoke about that also, and I wanted us to give us a chance to mention these things too, because the weekly newsletter that we put out, the one before, I had put out the one about creative steeping, which is something that you put together and has helped me. And I shared some of my personal life coming up and realizing some of these things and coming to a point where we're shedding, we're letting go, right? Because that's what we're doing, right? They say like about every 7 years, which happens, my son is 7, right? So it's that moving into that next thing, letting go, shedding that skin, you know? But the creative steeping has helped me deeply. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that? How did it come about? You know, we put it out there so people can use, and then it's free. Like, I was like, free. Oh man, of course it's free.
Of course it's free. Look, where it came from was a sense of frustration, quite honestly. Creative steeping came from me wanting some support for the alien school from some members of my family that I know are great educators and great administrators. And I wanted to leverage their talents in helping me build out some curriculum and structure for the school. The resistance that I received to that was kind of foreign to me, because I'm really only asking about a skill that these people have and my family have. Like, they've spent careers, lifelong careers, doing the thing that I'm asking for support in. But because they didn't understand my idea, they could not figure out a way to find a way to co-create with me. And one of the criticisms that I received was, well, what's the product? And the product is education. What I was understanding at the time was, the thought was maybe I was not the educator that they think that I know that I am. Right? And so they couldn't see education as a product because they weren't seeing me as an educator. And it got me thinking about who I am and really making sure that I'm able to define who I am and not allow somebody to take from me what I know that I am. And I wanted to understand my essence, because at my essence, I've started to understand that I'm an educator. At my core, like at my essence. I've got educators in my family. I've got educators, professional educators in my living family and in my ancestral family.
Ancestral family.
Right? I know that. So I know that's coming to me. I know that we're all, as co-creators, we're all teachers of each other. So I know that alchemically, like by nature, I'm a teacher because I exist. So I know that's in me, but I wanted to really dive a bit deeper into my own essence. And so I wanted to ask myself a bunch of new questions so that I could really get into a new definition of who I am. As I went through that process, I recognized and realized that, oh, this is actually really valuable because I can see myself very clearly for the first time, and I didn't need anybody else to validate this. I know who I am.
Wow, I like that.
And because of that, I said, well, I think that other people could benefit from this. And I just expanded the concept out into a guidebook that kind of walks you through the poetry and the kind of like invocations and ideas that I leveraged in the process of creating my own understanding of who I am. I just expanded that out into something that is a 7-step process that became almost like when a tea leaf hits the water in a teacup. That leaf didn't exactly know its flavor until it's in that water. Then that flavor expands infinitely, and the only boundary is the cup. But then that expands into me, and expands into my pea, and expands into the world. And so there's a ritual to that tea making process that allowed me to see, well, okay, I can mix with flavors. I can mix with new flavors. I know what flavor I am now. Right. And I know what flavor I'm mixing within the world. I know what my essence is and what I'm expressing in.
Right.
And so when I blend that with a tea ritual, and I know who I am, and I'm taking that sip of tea, and I know who I am, and I also get to then express who I am into the world through my pee.
Right.
We're literally talking about science and alchemy.
Right. Right.
But there's no way that water doesn't know who I am. Now.
Right.
Because I know who I am. Right. Just like the tea leaf will always know what it tastes like once it hits that water.
So there's that alchemical process to it.
Yeah.
And then it's a creative process, right? And then
because you're creating an understanding of who you are
exactly
via journaling.
Right. That's where I was getting to.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting to. So there's also this journaling aspect of it too.
It is a journaling guide.
Right. So how do you see it? Is it before, during, after, all together, or different step,
So in the guidebook, there's a few approaches. Number one, there's the fact that you're preparing for a ritual, right? The ritual is the tea making process, and the ritual simultaneously is the unfurling of who you are. So you're preparing for a ritual. So the book, leads you into the beginning of preparing for that ritual. You know the questions that you're going to be asking yourself. You just don't know how you're going to be asked. You kind of understand what you're going to be exploring. You make some tea, you sit down, you do that journaling. You read some poetry, you really contemplate, spend some time thinking about what you're crafting. And there's an integration process to it. So that with each step of the journaling process, you are spending some time thinking about what you have written about yourself. And then you take that forward into the next stage. So you're always advancing your understanding of who you are to the point where you even are given the opportunity to ask your world, hey, who am I to you? What do I represent in your world? And to listen to that answer and then trust that answer, not defend at all. Trust the answer that's given so that you can add on an understanding of what you've been reflecting into the world, into your understanding of who you are. For better and for better and for better. Because anything that you hear, especially those things that are good course corrections, are for better. So count it all joy. Like take it all in that process and add it to who you are. No shame in who you are. Take that all forward. So you're journaling all that into your new reality and understanding of who you are.
Right.
And then at the end of the process, after you get through 7 days or 7 weeks, however you take it on, you can do some reflecting into who you are. You can work this ritual practice into a more consistent reflection. Maybe once a year you come back to it and check in with yourself.
Right.
Those kind of things. But it's a practice that becomes yours, and you can start to do it with your friends and family and whoever else you think may benefit from it. You know, it's a free kind of ecosystem of steeping into your essence and learning about yourself and inviting your community to learn about who you are. Because as we talked about, as your aura is informed, your world is informed. So it's this chance to like inform your aura, inform your alchemy with more of your essence of who you are, how you're flavoring the world, and allow other people to get a real good sense magnetically, alchemically, aurically, and practically who you be.
That's beautiful. Let's just take a deep breath in together on 3. 1, 2, 3. I love the fact that it has to do with journaling, because we get so many thoughts and ideas that come, but it's almost like sand in your hand. It's just, and then it's gone. So that's the power that humans have. They can, put some symbols and markings down on something and then look at it and go over it again. And then time would go by and come back to that same thing again and see, and it's almost like the refresher, it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, of course. Yes. And yeah, maybe I don't feel like that. Maybe that's not the case anymore. Or maybe like, yes, I'm here because that expounded into something else. And creative steeping, I feel that it comes with that component of, reflectiveness, see it. How do we see it? We can meditate and think about these things, but write it down. Right? I was looking recently at the journals that I have. Man, I might have about 8 or 9 of them, because I've been doing it for so many years.
Of course.
And I like to do it every day, but life gets in the way, and sometimes we get lazy, and or we don't see the importance of it, or we don't take the time, right? Because in the morning is the best time, because you're vibrational, you're coming from the theta waves, right? So you're in that creative process. That's why I do believe that we all should get up early. Get up early.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. I can't get up earlier. Go to bed earlier. Or just try, because it's the few hurdles that.
Yeah, of course.
And then after a while, your body regulates to it. Like for me, I'm up before the alarm clock. Like I'm up before 4. The other day, I got up like about 3:30, and I was like, it's too early. I should sleep. And then I tried to close my eyes, and I'm like, but I'm not tired. So I get up, and then I start creating.
Yes.
And then the journaling early is what I'm able to put down my thoughts, about what I feel that has happened to me, what I've experienced, and then it helps me to put it down.
Yes.
And then understand. And then you also have in the connection with the tea, which tea is an ancient practice.
Ancient.
And one of the stories I like to say is that my father had given me a book about tea. And in it, in the beginning, it shows the history of tea. And there was I believe it was a Chinese emperor or Japanese, where his advisors always told him, well, drink warm water in the morning because it flushes you out and it's great for your health. So he was doing that. And as the story goes, one day he was standing there with his hot water, and a wind came by, and a few leaves fell into the water. And that's where tea had begun. I'd like to say that story.
Yes. But that's, again, like there was no full ignorance to the flavor in those leaves before they hit that water. Full ignorance. So everything in that moment is having a new experience. Everything is new in that experience.
Right. It's the alchemy. It's the changing.
Yes.
and on the molecular structure.
Yes.
Yeah, we just see it like, oh, well, it's just no, there's something deeper going on here.
Yes,
And we
indeed.
should pay attention to it.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
indeed.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate you. I
Thank
appreciate you promoting the creative steeping. I appreciate the invitation into the Purple Sage Festival. I'm excited to dance in your garden,
Thank you.
you know,
Excited
to
to have you.
cross-pollinate our crops,
Right.
you know, with each other
Mm-hmm.
and really build on, you know, our legacies, our ancestry, what's brought us to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I value the environment and tend to bring, you know, the honor of my ancestry and the honor of my practices and my knowings into your world.
Beautiful.
And to everybody who is going to experience the purple sage, the inspired breath, the crown energy.
Right.
The cleansing energy.
The cleansing energy. That's it. Yeah.
All that.
Yeah. So what we're saying is that sometimes we feel that something's holding us back. We don't know what it is. It could be our environment. It could be our past. It could be a combination of those and other things too. But we say, well, let's recognize that first and see like, hey, there may be something here, you know, why can't I level up? Like, okay, maybe you're a business owner, like, yeah, I'm doing pretty well, but I want more of this. I wanted to, first we have to recognize that possibly you've hit a ceiling of some sort, or maybe you just can't get out of that funk either. You know, like, why isn't it happening for me? You know, first recognizing those things. Then once we see those things, we want to be able to cleanse them.
Yes.
Right? And how do we do that? We're having the water purification ceremony. So the ice plunge, it's not just a normal ice plunge. The water naturally is blessed with breath. The water is blessed with prayer, right? How do we do that? First, there's the breath, there's the movement. That's where you come in with the physical expansion and a bit of that knowledge. And what is it that we're doing here? And the purpose, right? And then the water purification comes from the Shinto belief system. The Shinto belief system in Japan, it comes with a water purification, a cold water. It's usually in a river where the water is just pounding on you and it's freezing cold. And it removes all the negative energy. So here we are at the Purple Sage Gathering Festival, and we're in the water, releasing all that negative energy, letting it go, pushing ourselves hard into the present moment. And everybody can do it. Some people are like, oh, I can't do that. You can do it. 9 out of 10 people do it. So the odds of you making it is good. It's hard, it's difficult. Sure it is, but anything that's worth it, you know, it comes with some struggle.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
After the water purification, then we're going to integrate all of this information with each other. We're going to share what came up during the breath and the movement and the ice and our intentions for the day, for the new year coming, and manifesting that, perhaps journaling it a bit too. So be encouraged to bring your journal.
Yes, please.
And then, you know, there's a great chef that we have, is an alkaline chef. His name is Alki. That's his name, but he goes by Free. He likes to be called Free. Yeah. Word. So I was like, what? That's wonderful. I love that name, man. Of course. So he was in the industry creating food that were just poisonous and toxic. Yeah. And he came to that realization. And he was doing quite well too. But we spoke about that. Like once the genie is out of the bottle, man, that's it.
Yes, indeed.
You can't get the genie. You won't want to get the genie back in. So now he's just going forward with that. He's creating these wonderful dishes that are alkaline because we're too acidic. That comes from the foods we eat, right? So it's alkaline base. It's in connection with Dr. Sebi. So that's where the sea moss comes in. That's where we're heavy in the sea moss. Because, you know, thank God for Dr. Sebi. He shared all that information with people and he opened that up. And now people are realizing these things.
Huge.
So then we're going to break bread, the food, and then there's also the artists that are performing. So we have like 8 or 9, man, they just keep coming of these artists performing these musical sets, man.
So exciting.
Yeah,
I'm
just great.
so excited because of the diversity of artists that I saw. I haven't had a chance to meet yet, but like this is a renewal festival. Like you said, in this time of year, I was talking to a potential student recently, and she's lived in the area for about a year and a half. Came from a couple of different countries. And as he was talking about kind of like some of the constriction in her life and restrictions on, where she is at the moment, and how she was even seeing herself, I was looking at somebody who was kind of fresh to New York, has a small community, has a good sense of the challenge that she's facing, but really on another level has a chance to walk outside of her door every day as somebody new and try on a new skin every day and find out who she is. And when I think about something like the Purple Sage Festival, like everything that's together there, there's a chance to walk out of that environment a new person.
The chances are very high. Right?
And to not walk backwards. To like take this moment and to come into that day as a creative opportunity to reset. Excuse me. Especially if you can align on who you want to be coming into it.
I feel that the more that you put into something, the more you get out of it. Any experience it is. Like you could get on a roller coaster because I just want to try it, and you're like, wow, that was pretty exhilarating. And then there's something as simple as inspired breath, where you're taking that time, feeling the warmth of the cup of the tea, the texture, the palate in your mouth, and feeling as it goes down, the flavors, what comes to your mind, and then journaling those things even beforehand, creating like, what is it that I want to get out of this experience?
Yes.
What do I expect to get out of this? Even if it's in a general one, that's fine. Just a general. So
for sure.
I try to approach things like that, especially in a ceremonial setting.
Yeah, of course.
I like to go, because I need to relax and breathe more and be more. Nah, it's more like, I'm going to this event. For some reason, it has come into my awareness, into my observing of this experience that I'm having here. So, perhaps I will go, and I want to receive some of that, and I expect to receive some of this out too. So I tend to write some of those things down. People think like, oh man, I got to write 4 pages. No, you don't. Just one sentence.
Whatever is there.
Trust, 1 sentence, 2 sentences. That's it.
Yes, indeed.
That's it. So
it's not an assignment, it's an opportunity.
Right. And then you spoke about the woman earlier, about her realizing some of these things. It made me think about the thing that you shared with me earlier about that little saying. Could you tell me this again?
Yes, indeed. So I teach a course called How to Think Inside the Box. It is another creative thinking course within the Alien School that helps people to understand that this box that we put ourselves in is unnecessary. This is unnecessary. We're told to think outside the box, but there is no box that exists. And so we then start thinking about what the box is. That is a misdirection.
Wow.
It's a misdirection. And so learning to think inside the box is actually learning to think inside of the being that we are, like inside of who we are. And one of the important factors, one of the really important knowings as you think inside the box is that you set the conditions in your box. I set the conditions in my box. I have the imaginative power, the creative thinking capability to establish my own conditions for how I'm going to feel on this day and every day. I've got that ability. I've got that cognitive power as a right brain, left brain human. I've got that imaginative power as the creative being that I am to set the conditions for how I want to observe the world.
Wow. I set the conditions. You set the conditions.
You set the conditions. And
I love
to
that.
trust that that is right for me for each day. And the more that people start to understand that, the more that we can start to understand that we have an opportunity to establish the conditions that they really can't be affixed to us unless we allow it. We'll actually start to understand that we don't need to try to set other people's conditions and circumstances. And then we're doing less harm.
I love
because
that.
we're allowing everybody to be who they are.
I love
and
that.
appreciating who they are.
Right.
Yeah.
That's incredible and quite powerful too. And I'm looking forward to you coming and sharing these things with the tribe, with the community, with the people and all of that, all of these concepts. There'll be time for that too. Coming and sharing. We have a bit of open mic too. People like to share a piece of poetry or spit some lyrics or we have a wonderful DJ, MC also, Eli Owens. He has an incredible story. I hope he shares his story too. So he's helping assist also with the creation of this. So there's some people who just step into your existence and your experience and they get to see what you're seeing too. They're like, I not only see what you're seeing, I'm seeing that too. Like, okay, well then let's walk together. So we have quite a group of people with that. And I'm looking forward to you meeting them, being a part of all of this, brother.
I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to Purple Sage on December 14th, right?
December 14th. It starts at 11 a.m. And it ends at 5 p.m.
The Green Space?
At the Green Space Studios in Union City. Big shout out to the Green Space. They're doing a wonderful thing there too.
What's the website?
The website is omzielhealingsanctuary.com/events or /Purple Sage. Because there's these two sub-tabs. One of them is the details about the event, and the other one is who will be there serving you. And you get to see all of the artists and contributors, including yourself, and it even gives a short little bio too, and some of the facilitators and things of that. We have our photographers too. We have two of them that is with Omziel, and either both of them or one of them will be there. And they're professional photographers, videographers too. So there's lots of opportunity for content building too.
All right, so let's do some creative pre-imagining. Okay, we're going to do a pre-imagining exercise. Where in this frame is that URL going to be for the Purple Sage Festival? Where are you going to put it in this frame?
Where am I going to put the Purple Sage?
Yeah, the URL.
Oh, the URL. Oh, the link.
In this frame that we're in right now. Where's it going to be?
Over here.
Over here? Wherever it's going to be. Hopefully it's like right there.
Right around here.
So here, like between us.
There you
go. There.
Go there. And take a look and see what we're doing. We'd love for you to be a part of it. And
if you're here and I don't know you, we don't know you yet. Though you click on this URL right here and we meet you at the Purple Sage Festival, we are very grateful that you're coming to spend time with us.
Amen. Amen, brother. Aho. Thank you and peace.
Indeed.